Welcome to another edition of Inside the War Room. I'm your host, Devin McMillan, and I'm here with my co-host, Jimmy Williams, B. Elston, and we got a special guest in the house tonight. We have Cyd Zeigler, co-founder of Outsports.com. How you doing, Cyd?
We're making a habit of this now.
Yeah, how about that?
I think everybody's making a habit of this now.
All right, so today we want to talk a little bit about Fallon Fox. If you've been living under a rock and you don't know, Fallon Fox is the transgender MMA fighter. She's fighting, of course, in the female division, and it's caused a slight bit of an outroar. Is that the right word I'm looking for?
Not really slight.
Outrage. Both of them.
Uproar.
Slight uproar in the past few days, and we wanted to get Cyd's opinion on it because he actually wrote a piece on it for Outsports.com. Cyd, we can get right into this because I think one question kind of encompasses the whole conversation that we want to have here. Do you think, from a fairness perspective, that it's fair for a woman who was born a man to fight in the female division?
Yeah, well, I suppose there are a couple ways to answer that question. The first piece is what every medical expert and what every sports organization has looked at this issue has come to the same conclusion, that if a trans woman has had 2 years of hormone therapy, then she has mitigated all the advantages that she had as growing up a male. Now, of course, if somebody is 6'11", chances are they wouldn't have been 6'11" if they were born a female. But with this particular case, it's not what we're talking about. Fallon Fox is a 5'6" female. She had started hormone therapy 10 years ago, and hormone therapy consists of, without getting too technical, something that blocks the testosterone production in your body,
Right.
something that introduces other hormones like estrogen. 6 years ago, she had gender reassignment surgery, which is exactly what you think it is. And the state of Illinois has recognized her legally as a female. So whether it was the International Olympic Committee or the NCAA, the LPGA, the Women's Tennis Association, the ABC, which licenses boxing in the United States, she falls into the categories of all of them to compete as a woman.
And then, you know what, Cyd? That was my question, because when I first heard the story, before I read the article, I says, I don't know how I feel about this. And then I read your article, and there was a couple points that I found. That after 10 years of hormone therapy and 6 years after the gender reassignment surgery, any advantage is gone. That was mentioned in your article. And her driver's license, says she's a female, as well as the point you just made about the LPGA and the WTA. The question I had is, in what state does she fight?
Well, the way that boxing works is you have to get licensed by the ABC, which is the national licensing commission.
Okay.
And then you have to get licensed in the state that you're going to fight in. So she has licenses pending in California and Florida. So she could end up fighting in both. So wherever she wants to fight, she's got to get licensed.
You got to get a license at the state level.
My question, that was my question to you. How difficult do you think it will be to get that license? I mean, will they go along with the same? I mean, the state has already recognized her as a woman, so will it be difficult to get the license to fight?
Well, Illinois recognized her as a female, and her driver's license says female. The question is going to be Florida, and Florida and California are both thinking about what the transgender policy is going to be going forward. I will be shocked if they do not license her, because there really is medically and scientifically no legitimate reason to do so. And if they don't license her, they are going to have a big, fat lawsuit on their hands that they just don't want to engage in. But they're going to go through a process. I mean, listen, they're going to take a couple months and figure this all out, get a policy in place, ask all the right questions, and that's what they should do.
And then once she gets past that hurdle, how difficult do you think it will be to find an opponent? That's the other question that popped up in my head. Will that be difficult for her to continue her career in terms of finding an opponent to want to face her?
Well, I guess there are a couple things. She's in the middle of a tournament right now, and they've postponed the tournament to wait for her to be licensed. So her next opponent, she has an opponent lined up. I suppose the opponent could say, "I'm not fighting you," but some women are coming forward and saying, "Bring it on! I'll take her on anything."
Cyd, I guess my question is, this will set a precedent going forward. And you kind of made mention of, well, she happened to be 5'6", on the smaller side for a male, but about, I guess, average, what we consider quote unquote average for a woman. But let's say you take into account someone even such as myself. I mean, I'm 6'2", 250, bone density. No matter how much hormone therapy I go through, I'm probably still going to be ginormous for a woman. So if this kind of sets a precedent, what do you do when you see others that may come forward to kind of take advantage of that precedent, and it's an unequal playing field for other fighters?
Well, lots of pieces to that question. The first one that sticks out is going to try to take advantage of it. No one is going to transition their gender so that they can compete against women.
This is true.
This was the big fear that people talked about 10 years ago, and it's not going to happen. I mean, who's going to do what you need to do? I mean, you have to go through gender reassignment surgery. Gender reassignment surgery is what it sounds like. So this is just not going to happen. But with that being said, I just wrote a story about a 62-year-old golfer. It's a male all of her life. She's now a female. And they measured her. She was a golfer in college back in the day, and she wants to get onto the LPGA now. They measured the speed of her swing, and it's dropped 13 miles an hour since she started her transition. No matter who you are, the hormones have a huge impact, and the testosterone level has a huge impact on who you are. But take all that aside, Michael Jordan has advantages over me that I didn't have. Warren Sapp has advantages over me. Tom Brady has advantages over me.
Great point.
People have advantages over one another. That is sport. Some people are good at one thing, some are good at another. And that's just the way life is. And is it unfair? I just don't think it's that unfair. If I have to play one-on-one against Shaq, do I stand there and say, oh, this is unfair because you're taller than me? No, I compete. And that's what sports is. You compete against the best.
Absolutely.
Well, we were reading an article today by Steph Daniels, the Bloody Elbow blog from SB Nation, and they had quotes in the blog from board-certified orthopedic surgeon Johnny Benjamin.
Right.
And Dr. Benjamin was saying, he was basically questioning when someone goes through transgender surgery or reassignment, he's asking where were they when they went through puberty, because he states that puberty is the time period where boys tend to, grow the physical advantages that we grow over females. Do you have anything to combat what he's trying to say in that instance?
I just don't find him to be a credible source. He's an orthopedic surgeon who admittedly doesn't know a single trans person. He said, "Oh, I'm okay with trans people because I'm okay with anybody loving anybody else." That's like me saying, "I'm okay with black people because I'm okay with women wearing dresses." I mean, it has nothing to do with the other one.
Yeah,
so he just, I just don't think he's. I just don't think he's. Idea. I just don't think he's a credible source. When you talk to people who have worked with the IOC and the NCAA and people who have studied these issues, they come to the same conclusion. And of course, you're going to find some doctor anywhere who will say anything. So when I've talked to the MMA, a couple of MMA writers, they'd never even heard of the guy before this. So is he raising legitimate questions? I'm okay with people raising questions, but I just don't. Again, I don't see a credible reason to stop this particular woman from fighting. 10 years of hormone therapy, that puts you at a disadvantage. In fact, her testosterone levels are probably lower than that of her competitors.
Yeah,
I'm less inclined to look at her distinct case, because in her instance, I would tend to agree with you, Cyd. I just look at the precedent it sets, and I don't know that things that came about through nature being altered through science and medicine will lead to advantages that would be considered unfair not existing. And I guess I use the case of the 6'11" male or the 6'2" dude that has every right to engage or live his life the way that he feels like living it, or she feels like living it, and moving into a transgender lifestyle. But as they leave behind being a man, what do you do about such things as bone density? I mean, do those hormones change bone density?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do change bone density and muscle mass and libido, and they change everything that makes a man a man. They do.
And so that's a huge commitment. Yeah, because like that's a huge commitment, and you say 10 years of that. I can only imagine. My question is, what has been the reaction to in terms of the MMA community? People that you have talked to, whether it be the league she fights or anyone else. What has been their response to the story?
If they have questions, I listen. I understand this. We are raised in a culture where men are king, and it's just inconceivable that a woman could ever compete with somebody who used to be a man. But over the course of time, trans athletes have not exactly lit up the scoreboard. I mean, Renee Richards just never got off the ground as a trans tennis player years ago. So I just don't know of an athlete, Rosie Jones and Mian Bagger and all these trans athletes. None of them have ever become these superstars that they're supposed to be, having been born male. So, I mean, I understand the concern, but a lot of the MMA, the stuff I hear from the MMA people is this bone density argument, which isn't medically true. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about. I think one of the real good questions is, what should the standards be? Let's create some way for people to compete. Yeah. But the NCAA standard is 1 year of hormone therapy and no surgery. That to me seems like maybe not enough. I don't know, but maybe it needs to be. I don't know. So that's what their policy is.
Maybe this will help in terms of getting standards and
setting. Yeah, standards are. This may set the standard. This will definitely establish.
It'll help towards
establish a precedent with which to base a standard on.
Because when I first heard the story, of course, B. Austin, much like yourself, I had the same type of concerns, because I'm just thinking, men naturally are just different,
bigger
logically than women are. But as I have read up on the story and did a little research and, listening to what Cyd is saying, in addition to reading the piece that he wrote, it does seem like the gender reassignment and the hormone therapy, it seems like it I mean, you said it decreases bone density and muscle mass. I'm just thinking, man,
I need a larger sample size. Personally, I need a larger sample size, and the only way we get there, it's in early going in anything is rough, because you don't have that sample size. I just don't know, to be candid.
I just think that the focus on whether this person was male or not is not as important as the larger argument I was making before about fairness. How far are we going to take this fairness argument? It's not fair that Shaquille O'Neal is thrown into the same arena that it's not fair. He was born with genes that I can't match up with. So how far do we take this fairness argument? Brittany Griner is a female. She was born with genes if it was playing one-on-one, I couldn't score a point against her.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great argument.
How far do you take this fairness argument?
That's a great argument. And I'm going to be honest, after I read your piece, I said that, after those 10 years of therapy, what have you, she may be at a disadvantage, considering how it changed her chemically. She might be at a disadvantage, honestly.
No.
And mentally, I mean, it takes an emotional and mental toll on you to go through what this woman has gone through.
If it's medically true that, everything decreases in the manner of which we stated, then it might put you at a disadvantage, because that sounds to me like, being a woman kind of sucks.
No.
But again, whether it's an advantage or disadvantage, what does it matter?
It's competition.
It's competition. I mean, you look at the great, talented teams of all time in the NFL. The 2007 Redskins, the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. They did nothing because they didn't play together as a team. They didn't train well. And sports are more than just can you hit the ball far. It's everything. And this woman has put in all the works that she needs to put in.
Well, you know what, Sid? It seems like with a lot of critics who've already made up their mind, she's going to be in a no-win situation until she at least loses a fight. If she keeps dominating, people are going to say, "Oh, she was a man." But as soon as she loses a fight,
it's one of the few cases where you'll find that winning and success is a detriment.
Yeah, it's
very oxymoronic.
Well, moronic is the word.
You took the oxy out of there.
Yeah, because again, of course, to some people, to some fans, she can never win. Yeah. But to people who know what they're talking about and understand these issues, what she's doing is as legitimate as what any other athlete does.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we know this story. You know, it's going to press on. We're going to keep an eye on it. Of course, we will be in touch with you. But before we get out of here, Cyd, let everyone know, where they can find you on the internet, where they can read your articles, and where they can find you on Twitter.
Well, God, I've been everywhere recently.
Yes, you have.
About these issues, but
if you don't know Cyd by now, then we're
I'm at outsports.com. We're part of SB Nation now, and you can see our musings and our rantings there at outsports.com.
Okay. And you can see his Twitter address right there on his lower third. So, of course, everybody, this has been another edition of Inside the War Room. Check out our channel, warroomsportstv.com. Make sure you subscribe to our videos. Make sure you click the like button on the videos. Comment, because we will comment back and get the dialogue started. But as usual, everyone, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance. We out of here.
On top. Thanks, Cyd.
Go Patriots.
Yeah.
It's the war room with